Wow, okay. I thought it would. Anyways, let me turn this fan off. I thought it would preview, but instead it proceeded to play the whole okay. Apparently I pressed the wrong button, but we're gonna get this in regardless. Today's live stream will be a short one, and I am automatically assuming that this will not have a big audience because this is not typically what I talk about on this channel. Well, I wouldn't say talk about, but typically what I live stream about. Uh, I'm very well aware you guys want to hear me talk about women in relationships. Talk about women in relationships. There we go. The audio is doing just fine. So yeah, I'm very well aware that this live stream probably won't get too many views. But again, I have to get off what I am feeling. I have to get off what I am noticing in society. And I'm sure some of you guys, as you guys come in here, don't forget to hit the like button. I'm sure you guys might watch some of my stuff and be like, man, Miles, you're extremely negative. You're extremely negative. Well, to be honest with you guys, if I were to be positive all the time, I would be lying to you about the realities of society right now. I wouldn't be telling you the truth, unfortunately. Oftentimes, the truth is very harsh. It can be hard to deal with, hard to bear with, even though the truth is the only thing that's going to truly save you in this world of lies. Everything and everybody is lying to you at some level. And if you are not aware of it, you will suffer the consequences greatly. So let me drum up these notes I have. I forgot I could even do this. Just pop the notes up, and I don't even have to write them down anymore, even though I should write them down. But if you guys have been paying attention closely, we're going to do this just for this live stream. I'm just going to have these notes right here. So if I look down, you're looking at my notes. But I appreciate you guys tuning in to this live stream. Maybe you guys will identify with some of the problems in society. Maybe some of you guys will be able to see what I'm seeing as well, or maybe you get some new insight. Nonetheless, we're going to do this live stream regardless because a lot of things in society just do not make any sense anymore. There's not really anything unifying us as Americans, unifying us as a people. Um, Relationships don't make any sense. The people that get into positions of leadership and powership, or not powership, that's not even a word, but in positions of legitimacy, all get there not by merit, but by either being compromised, blackmailed, or there's always some hidden motive. Nothing makes sense anymore. So if you guys are identifying each other and unifying each other based on race, you're making a huge mistake. Race means nothing. What's funny, um, I don't know how to even say that name. Why are you saying ha ha in the chat? But yeah, if you guys are trying to identify and unify based off of race, you're making a terrible mistake. Race means absolutely nothing anymore. The concept of black and white and all this craziness has never really ever really truly made sense in the first place, but it definitely doesn't make sense in today's society at all. Nobody truly sticks together anymore. The melting pot is melting, and it's melting away our society. Like I said before, the only thing that really unites Americans are values and beliefs. Outside of that, there's not really much to unify on. Race, you can't identify on race, too many different historical backgrounds, too many different people coming from different backgrounds, so you can't really rely on that. People are mixed with different people. It's not one unified people like China, where everybody looks the same and they speak the same language and all that stuff. Race is not a good unifier anymore, and it probably never has been, but it's much worse now. Politics doesn't make any sense anymore. The Republicans did something ridiculous recently. And if you guys aren't paying attention, if you aren't distracted by the lies, if you aren't distracted by social media, if you aren't distracted by, these no-name celebrities that I put in the thumbnail, because, the common person likes to be lied to. Let's just be serious here. Uh, everybody wants entertainment. Nobody wants the real thing. That's why I know this live stream probably won't get too many views, which is why I don't aim on being on this live stream very long. But I have to get this off because this is extremely bothering me in society. Republicans just did something ridiculous recently. So you can't really identify people and unify people off of politics anymore. The Republicans just blocked a Second Amendment, a pro gun rights Second Amendment. And some of you guys are like, why would the Republicans are more gun rights oriented people? Why would they block, they have the whole legislative branch, the House, the Senate. Why would they block that bill? And that's because nothing makes sense anymore. Even the most minuscule common sense things do not make any sense anymore. Look at relationships. Dating makes no sense. What's going on, Denise? Hi, what's going on? Even relationships don't even make any sense anymore. What do you mean, Miles? You have women trying to be men, and you have men slowly becoming feminized and women, gossiping like women, dressing like women, going to drag shows with their woman to watch other men. It's crazy work what's going on out here. A lot of people are bi. If you guys know what I mean, they go both ways. Nothing makes sense anymore. Dating doesn't make sense. Guys, I was watching a video recently, and it's going viral. Um, this lawyer basically admitted, and she's a woman, she basically admitted that women start 90% of the divorces. They initiate the divorces. Now, what doesn't make sense is, this is why it contributes to this live stream. Why this doesn't make sense is women say all over the place that they want relationships. They want to be married up. They want to have a ring. They want to have a wedding. They want to have kids, a family, and all of this. None of it makes any sense, but they will initiate the divorce. Why would you blow up a relationship and marriage that you've been wanting and yearning for your entire life? It doesn't make any sense. Society doesn't make any sense. Religion doesn't make any sense. You look at the religious people, you look at their faith and what they say they are, all these different things. But if you look at their actual lives, their lives do not line up to what the book correlates to. I was listening to a recent video on TikTok where the gospel people they're making all kind of secular gospel music, trying to appeal to a popular crowd, saying all different kinds of things they would never say in a traditional, even Kirk Franklin would never even say or sing about. And so Everything is too inclusive. And when everything is too inclusive, it waters down the quality of the product. And that is what America has become. America is nothing more than just a business at this point. People just come here to make money and come here to have a better standard of living. But outside of that, they don't want to be American. They don't want to adapt to the culture or assimilate. They just want to make money here and maintain their own values and culture from their home country. People have one foot in the United States and one foot in Mexico, one foot in wherever they're from, India, wherever they're from. America has gotten too inclusive, which is watering down America. Nobody truly believes in America anymore. The American dream, people do not believe in it anymore. The fairy tale of it. Cost of living, expensive. Hard to find a job, hard to maintain a good job if you have one. Wages aren't keeping up with inflation. I begin to realize and ponder to myself, why do people really want, what do people, the trajectory of where society is heading is downward. And when things get too bad, revolts and civil unrest typically ensue or follow, so to say. So why are our politicians, our government so easily, why are they so easily corrupted? But it's the same old, as I'm thinking, doing this live stream, another thought just popped in my head. It all makes sense since we don't have any values to unify and beliefs to unify. The only values is money. And since we only value money, we go to the highest bidder. This is why job loyalty from the employer and the employee, loyalty is non-existent. This is why in relationships, women will tell you flat out, if you don't make enough money, you're economically unattractive. Everything is about money. American values have been twisted. Everything is about money in this place. So if everything's about money, that means that all the relationships are transactional. If you don't give me this amount of money, I won't give you that for that amount of money. America has become a transaction, and it's hitting every part of our culture. The job market, relationships, all transactional. There's not really any further meaning outside of that. There's not any other values trying to hold people together anymore. Everybody's just kind of frivolously living individually, bumping into relationships, falling into relationships. You don't really ask people out anymore. You just have sex with one another, and then all of a sudden one of you says, "What are we doing?" And then you bump into a relationship. Nothing makes sense anymore. Society is deteriorating. Men don't feel respected. We've created a system. We've created a society where women have successfully created a matriarchy. They get all of the opportunities more than you as a man. They get more job opportunities. There's a particular concept that I've been noticing with women that I want to expose on a separate video. I'll probably make that into a short video for you guys, but there's a particular concept that is quite interesting that is going on with women that you guys need to be aware of, that I'm noticing and I've been asking questions about, because I typically go into a psychologist whenever I'm dealing with particular women. And when I say particular women, just you randomly bump into at work, you ask them questions, and you just you dive deeper into their psyche to figure out what makes them tick. That is extremely interesting to me. And I'm going to do a separate video on what I've noticed about women. It makes too much sense for you guys. So you guys are going to look out for that this week. But people have giving up. They're starting to give up on everything. They're starting to give up on politics. The politicians don't believe in us. They don't help us out. The taxpayers. It seems like they're always trying to help corporations and pad their own pockets for their own greed. People are giving up on relationships. People are just settling for companionship with their pets. Nobody wants to truly get into a relationship. And if they say they do, the relationship won't last because according to this, a divorce lawyer, women will initiate the divorce 90% of the time. So why would you get into a relationship when you know it's going to end and she's going to pull the plug on you, even though you might have never done anything wrong in the relationship? Nothing makes sense anymore. People are giving up on religion. Religion itself, the church, the attendance is down. If you look into a church today, who is mostly in it? Single mothers, women that have messed their lives up and now they want to get God at the end of it or after they've made a crucial mistake. And I'm not here to judge anybody, but we have to call a spade, the truth is so much forgotten in this society. People call it complaining. People call it all kinds of different names, the truth, which means we have gotten soft as a society. We're afraid to call it what it is because we don't want to offend anybody. No, we need to offend everybody because that anger is a powerful emotion. Anger makes you change something. See, if somebody told you, hey, you're fat, you need to stop eating before you become a fat slob, you would stop eating. Because that anger and disgust would get to you, and that social pressure of people laughing at you would force a change. But since we're all trying to get along and be politically correct, we become too inclusive. We become the problem because we're too weak. We're coddling everybody. Like I said, nothing in society makes sense anymore. People get into relationships not understanding, and they break these relationships up not understanding the adverse effects it has on their children. Sometimes, depending on the trauma and the childhood upbringing that they had, sometimes the kid can't recover. They're broken kids forever. But nobody wants to understand how breaking up families and relationships affects the child more than it affects you. Why? Because everybody's narcissistic. They're focused on their own individual happiness instead of focusing on what's best for the group. And that's another reason why we don't have any unifiers in the Americas anymore, because there's nothing to really truly unify anymore. It's a free-for-all. People are just out for each other, their own good. And when that happens, society tends to fall by the wayside. See, there's no community, which means what? There's nobody to help you when you're down, nobody to talk to when you're down. You suffer in silence. You suffer alone because there's nobody to go to, because there is no community. There is nobody else that you can rely on. It's crazy. We've gotten to a space in society where we're so technologically advanced that we're comfortable living hundreds of miles away from family members. people don't think of how big of a safety risk that truly is. Now, granted, we have cell phones, but if you live in Colorado and your family is in Utah or your family is in Florida, you're at a huge disadvantage. That's a huge flight for somebody to actually go out there from your family, your tribe, to come help you. So if you don't have any established connections in the locality that you are at, then when things hit the fan, you're going to be out there alone by yourself. And especially since people, they don't test their friendships, they don't test their mates. So whenever these things happen, they find out the hard way. I was watching a video where this woman said she moved different states for this man, and now their relationship broken up, and now she's homeless. Well, if she would have vetted better and she would have made a logical decision, maybe talked to him or and just overall understood what a risk, the amount of risk she was taking, and had a plan for it, because you always have to plan for the worst. Even though you don't want the worst to happen, she would have ended up in that situation, but now she is, and now she's homeless. The way we live as people today is completely backwards. We live away from our family. We think getting away from our family is some kind of liberation, until you go out into the real world and realize it's hard to find and get help. It's hard to find people that are reliable, that will stick with you through the thick and thin. Now, granted, sometimes if you don't have family, sometimes the best family member where you will ever get is somebody from a different race or different gender or whatever. We can't sit here and lie that all the time that blood is always thicker than water. Sometimes people in your own family, some of you guys' values don't line up, and that doesn't work out. Sir Mortal Goat, what's going on, man? Test their friendships and mates. I feel that if you're going to get out to test people on their loyalty, it's your motives. I'd put into question if you think testing them is the thing to do. Is the thing to do. I feel off. To me, I feel off. So you think testing people? Well, here's the thing: if you don't test them, and then you get into a life or death situation, and you find out you can't depend on them, well, there goes your life. So, um, mm, yeah, I mean, Sir Mortal Goat, I mean, if you want to live in a world and be naive, go ahead. Because a lot of the situations that we get ourselves into are because of our own doing. Oh, brother, you don't get it, brother. You have no idea. And see, you haven't, I can tell your naivete. I'm not insulting you. You are more than welcome to chat in the chat room and disagree with me. But that is extremely naive. You haven't been burnt harsh enough for you to learn that lesson. You said that that's where faith in those you love trumps need to test people. No. Like I said before, if you do not test people when things hit the fan, and then you realize that you thought your wife, see, a lot of people in relationships right now think they have faithful mates. They think their mates are good people. They would never do the mean stuff to them until they do. And then you learn out the hard way that they never loved you. Your friends were never there. Your quote unquote friends were never there for you. They were just people that you could just talk to and have common ground with. But when it comes to actual love, as far as defending you when you're not around and fighting for you when it's time to fight physically and even in the corporate setting or whatever setting that is, when you come off and don't do that, and you learn the hard way, that is a lesson that you will never forget. Manipulative and comes from a place of distrust to start with. So you need. I see where you're coming from. I'm not saying that you need to um, intentionally put people in these weird and stupid situations, but you need to test. You need to test it. Oh no, I know you're not being rude. We're just having a disagreement, and I don't think it can become manipulative if you take it to the extreme, like you're testing them every five, you know, seconds or whatnot. You're doing something extreme. I'm not saying you should be that manipulative. I'm just saying, hey, test. Ask them if you need money. Ask them, hey, I need $50 for this. Would they give it to you? And just see if they give it to you. If not, you know where you stand. Little simple tests. These don't have to be drastic and schemy and manipulative. Absolutely not. But I think we're going to disagree on that point. I think you do need to test people because you need to know who's going to ride or die. That is a harsh lesson. I remember a girl in high school I was talking to. She said, I would never do that to you, talking about cheating. And what did she do? She ended up cheating. I understand that, but you need to understand the world that you're living in right now. Um, in modern society, we don't really construct people the way we used to, where people were brought up to be noble, honest, respectable to authority, to be trustworthy, to be loyal. I I grew up around neighborhood watches and being around neighbors and being around people that you could actually trust and that you could actually depend on. So whenever I went into the city recently a couple of years ago, I noticed the nature of people is completely different. Uh, there's more indifference here. People don't care as much. That people are not as greet happily to greet you. So definitely a lot more psychopaths and liars in the city. People don't look out for each other. People don't want to talk in the city. And so there's a shift going on in society where it's even hard to trust people for the basic trust, like you said. I don't see how you you let somebody close to you that is capable of hurting you, because it's the vulnerable ones that can, and the people that's close to you that can really hurt you. How are you going to let them into your circle without them being vetted and tested first? I don't understand that. But I mean, we can disagree to disagree. We can definitely agree to disagree on that talking point. But the more I think about it, I begin to think about the solutions to what we can do to fix these different problems. Can we really fix some of the can we fix the American problems, our culture or cultural problems? Can we truly fix them? Are there really any solutions for dating and relationships and community? And are there really any solutions that can unify the people? Are there really any solutions to help religion come back into the people where they actually believe it and follow it? Are there really any solutions for these kinds of problems that we are having in society right now, where women are being more masculine and men are becoming more feminine? Are there really any solutions to this? And I begin to ponder to myself, the only way to really fix it, and I can't go into really what I want to say on YouTube, but if you really want to fix it, It's kind of like this. You ever started a task before? Random task. It could be whatever you're trying to do. And whatever task you're trying to accomplish, you realize that um, you messed up. You messed up on that task. And what's the best thing for you to do? Sometimes you have to start over. And I think in order for us to truly fix society right now, we have to start over. Because what are the incentives for things to turn around? Some of these things are embedded in the culture. Some of these things are embedded in the laws, embedded in the people. They were taught this in school to be these ways. And all the different ways that matter that can actually shift the culture are not being solved politically, in the law. It's just getting worse. It's just getting worse. I think hiding from people pain though is something is wrong. You got to be open. Oh yeah, I don't have no problem telling people exactly how I feel. I'm struggling in that department. It's super important to be open. Idea of pain, where it grows. Yeah, I'm not saying you should. You're gonna have to. Life is full of risk. I agree with that. Life is full of risk. You're going to have to gamble and put yourself out there. I definitely agree with that. What you said. You definitely can't play safe. You're gonna have to get in the game, and getting in the game means getting heartbroken. Sometimes getting in the game means getting punched in the face, getting, whatever game you choose to play. There's going to be consequences. There's going to be uh, turbulence. You're getting to the game, and things are going to go wrong. You're going to get injuries. So, absolutely, I do not think that you need to be uh, so closed off that you're afraid to give yourself over to people. You have to try new things and become smarter in how you maneuver and vet people and allow people to come into your life. So I think we agree on that point. Heartbreak is technically a part of life. I mean, if we look at, some of the people that are going to pass away in our lives, some of the people that have already passed away, um, heartbreak is a part of life. Just like happiness, all of it is a part of life. So there's not really anything getting around that, so to say. So I mean, there's certain parts where we agree, sir, mortal goat, and there's certain parts we don't disagree with, and that's okay. It's okay to have a little bit of confrontation and to disagree, and people talk it out. That's another reason. That's another problem that's going on in society. People don't want to talk their problems out anymore. People are so quick to violence and so quick to, um, you know, go the extra mile. I mean, if we look at what happened with Carmelo Anthony and Austin Metcalf, they couldn't solve their problems with their words and talk them out. Austin immediately goes over and puts his hand on him, which is a violation. He's not the security. And then Carmelo Anthony overreacts in self-defense and uses excessive force. So now both the kids are going to suffer the consequences, and because they didn't know how to communicate. Communication is slowly degrading in our society because we text, we don't call, we don't talk in person. And you need to see the people's reactions to what you're talking about. You need to feel them in person. We're social animals. But in this technology, we're slowly uh, taking these things away from us, which is what we need as humans. So we're innovating a crucial way out of human life that is important. And so there is lot of problems, and none of them are being fixed right now. None of them are being made a priority when it comes to our cultural values and beliefs and changing them in the proper way, education, changing them in the proper way to where it benefits the average person, the average citizen, the average everyday American to where they feel love, they feel the unity, they feel the respect from the government down, from the authorities on down, where relationships are trustworthy and loyal, and all of these things are being forgotten in relationships. And we're seeing the consequences of this, which is why loneliness is going up, self deletion rates are going up, self unaliving is going up. All these things are going up because nobody truly feels that they matter in society. Nobody feels like they have anybody to depend on or to be reliable or for people to hear them out. They feel alone in their own cage and away. His opinion of little grievances now as a megaphone. It gets harder to ignore the junk of and the public discussion feeds us of just the stuff made to cause the division. Absolutely. And that's one of the detriments to the over technological advancements. They have algorithms now where they promote the worst things to you, and these companies, they know propaganda is very important, and so they use these social media platforms that everybody's on, and they push these messages of division that further divide people. Because think about it, guys. When we talk about racism and all these political differences and all of that, when you guys actually go out in the world today or out in the real world right now, do you really feel any racism? Do you really feel any political differences? No, you don't. But if you look at the phone, you think the world is crashing down. We live on the phone. We live on the technological things now. We don't live in real life anymore. It's crazy. All the different noise that's being spit at us, and it's no wonder that people can't focus and they're distracted, and people are, going into escapism and being pushed into delusional mindsets because of all this algorithm, the phone. There's no in-person, real life confrontation, and the phone makes things worse than it is. Just like what that saying says that things appear closer than they truly are. That's the same thing with the phone and with social media. It makes things feel worse than they actually are. But if you look at the easily impressionable people living out in society and existing in society, um, it's inevitable. They're going to fall into this feedback loop of constant hatred and division and all this crazy stuff. Like, people are saying the most outrageous stuff on Facebook, and I'm just like, wow, do you guys not think before you type these things out, as if this doesn't hurt your economics? People are looking, your employers are looking at your social media and all these different kinds of things to make sure that you aren't um, making the company look bad. And this is another reason why people can't get any jobs, is because whenever they type in your social media, your Facebook, your Instagram, you either got your butt out or you're saying the most outrageous political stuff that you can think of. And then we wonder why relationships don't work on social media, because you're showing everybody what you guys are doing. You're showing your other partner off or your mate off on a consistent basis. No, keep them concealed. Relationships that work the best are the ones that are, they're not always out in the public for everybody to see. What do you do whenever you see somebody that you know that just got into a new relationship? You tap the screen on their Instagram, and then what do? You hit the little icon where that person's tagged, to hit them to go to their profile to see what they're truly like. And guess what? This is how you get different people cheating and DMing your partner, because you go over to their page and you see they're living in a lifestyle of abundance, or they're in shape, or she has a really big rack or a really big behind. You're like, damn, how did he pull her? Let me see, and let me type something under her photos, and all this becomes advertising. And then she realizes she has more options here or there, and now she's comparing those options that she has on there to you, and next thing you know, she's gone. She's cheated. She's broken the relationship up because she has access to all these high value men. It's likewise with women as well. It's probably a little bit worse with women because whenever they post their man, every woman and every single woman that's their friend, they look at that and they're like, damn, he's tall, he's in a relationship, he knows how to be loyal, he has pets, he has a great house, he's in shape. Damn, let me comment under his photo and say, you know what, I'm glad you guys are happy. And then next thing you know, he says, oh yeah, thank you very much. And then you look happy as well. Like, no, next thing you know, it turns into a conversation. And the next thing you know, that emotional connection starts. And once the emotional connection starts with the woman, then what does that lead to? The sexual connection. So social media has created a lot of problems with how we construct and deal with one another. It's shrunken the world for the good and the worse. For the good and the worst. Nothing makes sense anymore. So I went on about another 11 minutes more than I wanted to. But when the things get to flowing and I got some interaction from the chat, I just tend to go off and off the cuff and do these kinds of things. And I enjoy debating you guys in the chat and having these conversations with you guys because all these things just help us understand each other better, have a community where we can relate to what's going on or relate to different viewpoints you may have about society and all these different things. I'll see you, sir, Mortal Goat. I appreciate you. Don't hesitate to subscribe, bro. Don't hesitate to hit the subscribe button. We definitely want you in this community. Even though we might disagree, this is not a yes man. We are not yes people over here. We welcome different points of view. Um, I don't know weird stuff, but we guys have a constructive argument and talk these things out. We're just much more needed. But I appreciate you guys coming in on this Saturday afternoon. Probably look for a different live stream for me coming tomorrow night. I appreciate you guys. You guys have a good day, good weekend. Find community, the few communities that you can in real life. Find some actual people that you can rely on in your real life because that's a part of your happiness. Part of your happiness is being social and having emotional support and having people that you love that love on you and give you affection back and give you that same affection back, that same appreciation back, that same support back. And so that is very crucial to your human happiness is having a social circle that is very cohesive and helpful. But that is this live stream. I appreciate you guys helping or tuning in today. You could have been anywhere in the world doing whatever, and you chose to be on this live stream, which is I'm highly grateful for. You guys have a good day, good weekend, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Peace.